So come to find a seated position on your mat. So this is just a comfortable seat. If you have a pillow, a blanket, or anything else you want to sit underneath to make this a little bit more comfortable, feel free to do so. If you have a block, you can slide that block underneath. And that just helps the hips, the knees have a little bit of relief. So if it's a lot of tension on those knees and those hips, and then coming to that little seat where it's elevated is going to help make it a little bit more comfortable. So we'll talk about stacking our joints. When we stack our joints, we're going to think from the bottom all the way up. So first things first, the spine needs to be really long. So I want you to sit up as tall as you can. Imagine that you are pressed up against a wall and that the spine is really lengthening. And then next, I want you to roll your shoulders up and then roll your shoulders back down. And then your palms can either fall gently on top of your thighs. They can either be facing up or facing down. We'll talk a lot about energy within yoga. And I like to kind of make it compared to coffee. If I've had a lot of coffee in the morning and I have a lot of energy, I'm going to go ahead and ground myself. So my palms are going to face my thighs. If I feel like I need a little bit more energy since it's first thing in the morning, or maybe anywhere out in your day where you just feel sluggish, your palms will face up. So that means you're receiving energy, or you're just wanting to ground yourself a little bit more, kind of settle down and relax. Now, start to close the eyes. And the next few minutes, we're really going to focus on breath. We're going to take inhales in and exhales out. Slow, full inhale in and slow exhale out. So lengthening your inhale in, so visualizing your breath going all the way in through the nose and then all the way down to the tailbone. And then as you exhale, it's traveling all the way back up. Using your breath to almost calm the body and calm the mind, settle everything down. We'll take 3 more inhales and 3 more exhales here. So full breath in. And slow exhale out. 2 more. And exhale out. 1 more inhale. And slow exhale out. On your next inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. And then draw the hands down to heart center. Thumbs are going to press into the chest. We're going to set our intention for class today. And our intention is that life is a work in progress that never is complete. We learn a different lesson from each experience we meet. And so nothing is ever perfect. And especially in yoga, yoga is all about progress, not perfection. It's all about learning and growing. And with yoga, there's no finish line. There's no, you've mastered it. It's always an ongoing lesson. It's an ongoing practice. And with each day, each practice feels different. The poses feel different. And so just reminding ourselves that it's always a work in progress and it's never complete. And that we're not to be too hard on ourselves for where we're at in the pose today. Lots of things affect us day to day. And so just really showing compassion to yourself as you move through each pose. We'll seal our intention in with breath today, taking a full inhale in and slow exhale out. Start to slowly blink the eyes open. Reach the fingertips up overhead. Take an inhale in lengthening, and then exhale, draw them back down towards your mat. So we're just taking breath here, we're moving. So inhale, lift the fingertips up. Exhale, lower them down. One more of these. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. And then exhale, lower them back down. This time we're gonna add a side stretch. So inhale, reach the fingertips up. And then exhale over to that right side. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches over. So here we're creating space within the side body. This nice little long openness through the rib cage on the left side of the body. And then still use that space to breathe. So inhale, lengthening, creating space within the rib cage. Exhale out. All right, next inhale, reach the fingertips up. And exhale over to the opposite side. So left hand comes down, right arm reaches over. Once again, creating space through the side body. Roll the right shoulder open just a little bit more. And then take a full inhale in. And then exhale, deepen into that side stretch just a little bit more. Next, inhale, bring both the hands up, and then we'll shift into tabletop. So remove whatever props underneath, and then come into what we call tabletop position. So stacking your shoulders over your wrists, fingers are spread wide, and then hips are gonna be over your knees, pulling that belly button into the spine. So we have a nice flat back here to start, and then we'll move through a spinal warm up between cow and cat pose. So on your inhale, you're gonna lower that belly, and you're gonna lift the gaze coming into cow pose. And then on your exhale, you're going to round that spine coming into cat. So arching the back, and then flowing through. So this is connecting pose to breath. So inhaling into cow, and exhaling into cat. And then if it feels better to stay in one and the other, feel free to. So if cow is feeling really good and you're just on this really nice little stretch within the spine, stay right there. Or if you like the cat pose variation, just finding what feels good in your body. And then your next option too is to sway those hips side to side. So creating what I call C shapes with the body. And if you need movement in your hips, you can circle the hips. That's your next option as well. So this little sequence here and this movement's all about spinal warm-up. And starting to get familiar with connecting your pose to a breath. So inhaling into cow, and then exhale, rounding into cat pose. Do a couple more. And we'll slowly make our way back to tabletop. So tabletop position, core is pulled in, we have that nice flat back. So if we were to set up a dinner table on your back, it's nice and flat. Tuck your toes under. So move those toes underneath, and then lift your hips up into what we call down dog pose. You're going to pedal out the feet. So this is an upside down V shape. And pedaling out your feet, just taking one knee bend at a time. This is gonna stretch out those legs, warming them up. So getting into the calves, getting into the hamstrings, pedaling out the feet movement. Spreading the fingers wide, maybe pressing the chest a little bit closer to the thighs. And then look forward at your hands, walk your feet behind your wrists, coming into ragdoll pose. So forward fold here to get into those hamstrings and let them release. So opposite elbows, you're gonna grab your elbows, you're gonna let the head and the neck and everything just kind of hang heavy. So if we have tight hamstrings here, having your legs straight might be a little bit of a challenge. So take a bend in the knees, soften through those hamstrings, and then let that low back have release. So if you're immediately feeling this in your low back, bend the knees more and then get the chest close to the thighs. And then for the upper body, just let it melt into your mat. Let it really be hanging heavy, really soft. And then swaying side to side, finding movement here. Maybe shaking your head yes. And then maybe reverse the grip on those elbows and shake your head no. Release your hands down to the mat. Bring your feet together to touch. And then slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. So your fingertips are almost tracing up your legs really slowly. And then roll the shoulders up and down, standing in what we call Tadasana, mountain pose. So at the top of your mat, you're either feet together or feet slightly apart. Your core is pulled in, you're lengthening through the spine, you're rolling the shoulders back and down, palms facing forward. So standing tall. This is a very foundational pose for yoga. We start here, we move through balancing poses from here, we come back to here. So even though we pass through mountain pose sometimes, it's very, very, very important foundational pose. So soft bend in the knees, toes are nice and light, and we'll move through what we call half sun salutations. So first things first, reach those fingertips up overhead, take an inhale in, and then exhale, swan dive, flat back, fold forward. Hands are gonna come down to your mat. Let the head hang heavy. Inhale to a half lift. So flat back here, pull those shoulder blades together, core is pulled in, and then fold forward. Inhale, reach those arms back overhead, and then exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. One more inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. And then exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Full breath in as you reach those fingertips up overhead. And then draw the hands down to heart center. Thumbs are going to press into the chest. Standing tall, roll the shoulders back and down. Starting back with our mountain pose. I want you to step your left foot back and then turn your right toes. So coming into a wide leg forward fold here. So feet are in the same direction, parallel with each other. Legs are wide apart and we have a soft bend in the knees. Take your arms out to a T, palms facing forward. Take an inhale, open through the chest, so just a little bit of a back bend. And then as you exhale, you're gonna slowly fold forward. So arms can come down to your mat. They can also come to your shins, your thighs. If you have any props here, so a block, a book, a water bottle, you're gonna fold forward. And wide angle forward fold. Our hips are stacked over in line with the ankles. And then we're creating a nice flat back here. So core is pulled in. And we're just letting the hamstrings release. You're holding tension or transferring energy to other places in the body. Sometimes we end up gripping in our jaw or maybe even tightening up, tensing up in the shoulders. Try to let them relax. 3 more breaths here, taking an inhale in and an exhale out. 2 more. Last one. And exhale. All right. Soft bend in the knees, hands come to the hips, and then slowly lift everything up. Step to the top of your mat, and we'll do another half sun salutation. So hands are going to start at heart center. Take an inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. All right, next pose is warrior two. So once again, let's step our left foot back, turn our right toes. We're starting in this wide-legged stance, but we're gonna end up moving our feet. We'll start with the right side first. So hands to heart center. Turn your right toes towards the top of your mat. Bend your right knee. Your left foot is going to seal down on your mat, so flat on your mat, and those left toes are going to be pointing towards the side of your mat, or maybe even angled a little bit towards the front. So nice bend in the knee. We're stacking joints here, so knee is over ankle. And then take your shoulders and stack them over the hips. Hands can stay here at heart center, or you can open them up to a T and then bring your gaze over your right fingertips. So about 5 breaths here. And then if the shoulders are starting to get a little tense, if we've been working out, you can take a soft bend and even turn those palms up, and that'll help release a little bit tension in the shoulders. So staring right over those fingertips, warrior two is a very fierce, strong pose. So it's very powerful feeling. So arms out to a T, about 3 more inhales and exhales here. See if you can deepen into that right leg a little bit more. 2 more. And then on your last exhale, see if you can deepen once again. Inhale, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, draw the hands to heart center. Turn the toes so they're facing towards the front again. All right, moving on to the other side. Turn the left toes. Bend the left knee. So setting this up first, get those knees stacked over the ankle, heel to arch alignment, and then shift the shoulders back. Then option to move those arms out to a T, and then bring the gaze over the left fingertips. So we're strengthening and toning the legs here. We're also opening up a little bit through that right hip. And then pull the core in. 3 more inhales and exhales. Last inhale, see if you can deepen a little bit more into this warrior two pose with those legs. And then reach the fingertips up, bring the hands to heart center, turn the toes, and then step towards the top of your mat. So option to do that half sun salutation. This time we're gonna add on to it in between. So hands at heart center, standing tall in mountain pose. Take an inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. And this is where your options are. You're gonna exhale, fold. You're gonna plant your hands and step back to a high plank pose. Lower down to the knees first, down to your bellies. Inhale into cobra, so barely lifting that chest up. And then exhale, fold. Tuck your toes under, and then press up slowly through tabletop, all the way to down dog. So that's gonna be our next option, or you can always just do the half version where you just come to that forward fold and then meet us back in mountain pose. All right, gaze forward at your hands, walk your feet to the top. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, reaching up tall into mountain pose. Exhale, draw hands down to heart center. Step your left foot back again, turn your toes towards the side of your mat. Next, we're moving into triangle pose. So start with your hands at your hips, and then turn your right toes towards the top of your mat. So the difference between this and warrior two is warrior two, we have that bend in the knee, so that right leg is bent. In triangle, we're going to keep that right leg straight. Take your right arm, extend it out to the side. Left hand can stay on the hips. So reach, 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 reach forward over that right leg, and then you can gently place the right hand on the thigh, on the shin, or hover it. Roll that left shoulder open and then extend it overhead. I have a schnauzer having a toddler meltdown over here if you can't see it. So it's quite entertaining. So we're lengthening through the side body, really keeping that nice long spine. opening up. And once again, you have those options. The hand can be resting on the shin, the thigh, stacking the left shoulder overhead with the hand reaching towards the ceiling. About 2 more inhales and 2 more exhales here. Another prop I like to use is blocks here as well. So it makes reaching the arms and really opening up a little bit more accessible. Last inhale here, full breath in. And exhale out. All right, start to slowly lift everything up to center. Hands can come back to the hips, turn the toes opposite side. So left toes are gonna turn towards the front of the mat. Back foot, right foot is going to stay angled out to the side, and then both legs are straight. So we're creating, once again, triangle shape with the legs, and then we'll create a triangle shape with the upper body. All right, left arm reaches forward, and then you can keep that right arm on the hip. So that's always an option to keep it right here. Reaching forward with those left fingertips, you can either bring them down to the thigh, down to the shin, or hover all the way down. Roll that right shoulder open. And then option to extend the right hand overhead. And your gaze can be up or down. So if anything feels crunching in the neck, then just adjust where your gaze is at. Either can be down towards those left toes, up towards that right hand. And then think lengthening through the body. So if you feel like you're dumping into that left oblique, really fire up your core and lift. 2 more breaths here. Inhaling in, exhaling out. 1 more inhale, and slow exhale. All right, start to lift everything up. Hands will come to those hips, turn the toes first, just to kind of get those legs loosened up, and then step to the top of your mat. So half sun salutation, or option to add on more to it. Hands will start at heart center. This is just to reset the body after each pose. Inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, or you can reach back up to mountain pose. Step back to your high plank pose. Lower down knees, chest, chin, all the way to our bellies. Into cobra. Inhale, lifting the chest slightly. Exhale, lowering back down. Tuck the toes under. Lift everything up into down dog. Fingers spread wide. Soft bend in the knees. Inhale, look forward at your hands. Exhale, float your feet to the top. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the fingertips up overhead. Exhale, draw the hands down to heart center. All right, we'll switch it up this time. Step your right foot back. And then turn both toes towards the front. All right, side angle is our next one. So keep those hands at heart center. Starting out with those warrior 2 legs, I want you to take your right toes, turn them towards the top of your mat. So heel to arch alignment. So right heel to left arch. Bend your right knee. Now, right knee is either going to stack over the ankle or slightly behind. It doesn't have to be into a deep bend. It's whatever those legs are feeling. Next, arms come out to a T, stack the shoulders over the hips. Deepen into that lunge first. Reach forward with the right hand. Right forearm will come to the thigh. It's gently going to rest on top of that thigh. Roll the left shoulder open, coming into side angle. So this is your first option here. Next option, take the left hand, reach it overhead. So you're creating this nice little energy line from the left fingertips all the way down to the left toes. So reaching. Gaze is going to be up towards that right bicep, or it can even be down towards, or the left bicep, or down towards the right foot. You can extend the right hand down. You can hover. Lots of options here in side angle. 2 more breaths. Inhaling in, exhaling out. 1 more. Full breath in, and exhale out. All right, start to use the core to lift everything up, coming to that T, warrior 2. Now turn the toes, and then reset here just a little bit. If you need to reach those fingertips up overhead, and then draw the hands down to heart center. Setting up for the other side. Left toes turn, bend the left knee, stacking the joints first, shoulders in line with the hips, and then Arms come out to a T. So we have a nice bend in that left leg and then that heel to arch alignment in the feet. Most important thing here is don't let that knee collapse inward. You really want to actively press it towards the pinky edge of the foot. Next, reach with those left fingertips forward, left forearm comes down to the thigh, and then roll that right shoulder open, spinning into your first option for side angle. Next, hover or reach the right arm overhead. So this is going to create a nice little side body stretch. This pose in particular is really working on strengthening and toning the legs and then creating an open space here in that side body. And then if you chose to hover the left hand, you can do that as well. Just lots of options here. And then take 3 more inhales and 3 more exhales here. Full breath in and full breath out. And then just notice how the body's feeling in the pose. Is your body telling you to ease up a little bit or go deeper? Take 1 more inhale here. And 1 more exhale. All right, slowly lift everything up, coming to that T, the warrior 2. Turn the toes and then step to the top of your mat. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. We're gonna lower all the way down to our belly. So knee, chest, chin, all the way down. The next pose, we're gonna work on strengthening in our low back and in our spine. So full locust pose. Zip those legs together. Tops of the feet are gonna press into the mat. So it's really engaging the legs and lifting the kneecaps off the mat. Now to support, you can always keep those hands down on your mat. Otherwise, arms are gonna reach behind, palms facing up, and then keep your neck and your spine in one long line. Now, you can gently peel the chest up first, and if this is enough engagement for you, stay right here. Next, lift the feet. So chest, feet lifting. I like to call this upside down boat as well, but this is full locust. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Go ahead and let everything melt into your mat and bring your right ear down to your mat and then just let everything fall down. So these little counter poses in between are letting our mind, our body reset before we move on to the other side. And it's kind of giving like a little mini shavasana here. And so really take these moments to kind of close the eyes, reconnect with your breath, let it slow down, especially if you held it or if it was rushing. And taking these nice longer inhales and exhales. All right, slowly bring the hands underneath the shoulders first, and then let the feet be about hip distance apart. Tops of the feet are going to be into the mat, and then bring your forearms and your elbows just in front of your body. So we call this Sphinx pose. Hands are going to spread wide and plant down on your mat. Now, the intensity of this on the low back, so this is a low back strengthening and stretching pose, depends on where those elbows are. So the further the elbows are away from your body, the more easier that's going to be on your low back, especially if you have tightness in the low back. Go ahead and move those elbows a little bit further out. If you'd like to stretch a little bit deeper into the low back and it feels okay in your spine, and we don't have any injuries that may prohibit us from doing so, then get your elbows stacked underneath your shoulders, fingers spread wide, and then lift through the chest and press it forward. So this pose is almost as if you're pulling yourself forward with your hands and then pressing your chest through the shoulders. And then gaze is just lifting gently. And then trying to relax through the shoulders, so rolling them back and down. And then for this pose, breathe into that low back. Especially if it's feeling a little tight and tense, breathe into that space. Take a full inhale in and a full exhale out. We'll stay here for 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, and release. Slowly start to lower everything down. You can bring your forearms to the top of your mat and then turn your left ear, or you can bring those arms down beside the body, whatever feels good, and letting that low back release. All right, slowly bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Elbows are gonna squeeze in, just a little baby cobra here. So spread those fingers wide, lift the chest up, take an inhale in, exhale, lower back down. Tuck your toes under, press yourself up slowly, coming into tabletop. And let's go ahead, and if we need to move through cow-cat here just to get a little bit of movement back in the spine, so lowering that belly, lifting the gaze, rounding that spine, coming into cat pose. Inhaling in and exhaling out. All right, coming all the way to a seat on our mat. We'll come into wide leg seated fold, forward fold. So legs are gonna come wide, toes are going to flex. And then I know when we're younger, we're taught we really need to get the legs as wide as we can. It's just as challenging and as effective if your legs are a little bit more in a V shape. Soft bend in the knees, especially if we have tight hamstrings, and then sit up tall. So we want to keep a flat back. So as you start to fold forward, we'll start with the fingertips. We'll start here. If you're already feeling that sensation in the legs and stretching, I want you to stay right here. Start with your breath first, and then see where you can start to ease in a little bit more. So you can maybe move just a little bit further down if it feels in your practice. And there's a point where we don't want to go too far into a stretching pose, especially if we have tight hamstrings. We want to ease into it and not make our body go further than it really needs to go. You can get that nice, good stretch just wherever you're at, wherever you're feeling it. And then with breath, start to maybe creep a little bit further. Take about 3 more inhales and 3 more exhales here. There's 2. And last one. See if you can go a little deeper, not too far, but just maybe a little micro movement forward. And then slowly start to lift everything up. I like to come out of this pose by taking my hands underneath the knees and then just bringing one in and then bringing the other in. Coming to a seat on your mat. We'll reach those fingertips up overhead and then twist over to that right side. So left hand comes to the outside of that right thigh, sitting up tall, and then just twisting towards the opposite wall. Inhale, reach back up to the middle, and then opposite side. So left side of the body, twisting. Just a seated twist here. Inhale, reach everything back up. And then exhale, bring the hands down to heart center. Shift yourself towards the top of your mat. So toes are gonna come all the way to the top. And then we're gonna slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. So you can either roll down with your arms extended, or you can place your hands behind and then just gently walk yourself down all the way to your back. Find your feet about hip distance apart. And then have your hips, your knees, ankles, toes, everything in a nice long line. So knees are bent, toes are pointing forward, and then everything is in a nice line. Pressing through the heels, hands are gonna come down by those hips. So you're already activating by pressing into the heels. Coming into bridge pose, and have you gently lift your hips up. Pressing through the heels of the feet. And this can work one of two ways. You can focus more on those glute muscles by squeezing the glutes and lifting, or if you relax the glutes, that's gonna make it more about the hamstrings. So strengthening those hamstring muscles. To get a little deeper into this pose, either keep your hands right where they are and just work on lifting through the hips, or roll the shoulders, kind of tuck them under, and then interlace the fingers underneath, and that's gonna help you get a deeper of a back bend in the lift in this pose. Trying to keep the chin off the chest though, creating that separation between the chin and the chest. Five more seconds here. 4, 3, 2, and release. Fingers are gonna release, come back to the sides, and then we're gonna slowly lower everything back down towards our mat. Get the shoulders tucking away from the ears, and then gently hug the knees into the chest. Gently rock side to side, giving that low back a massage. All right, lift those knees up, stack them in line with the hips. So you have a 90-degree bend in the knees. Arms are gonna come out to a T, or you can also goalpost the arms out to the side. Take an inhale in, and then lower on that exhale, everything over to the right side. And then gaze coming over that left shoulder. Little supine spinal twist. Okay, slowly bring the knees back up. Take a full inhale in, and then lower them over to the left side. Gaze comes over the right shoulder. Slowly bring the knees back up to the middle. We'll move into happy baby. So flex the feet, grab the inside soles, and draw the knees down. So opening up through the hips, trying to keep that low back glued, and then gently rocking side to side. Slowly hug the knees into the chest, wrapping your arms around the shins, bringing the forehead to the knees. Take a full inhale in, and then exhale, slowly releasing into your final pose of class. And this is Shavasana. So 2 options for the legs. You can either keep the legs bent, or you can extend them long down your mat. Arms are gonna fall beside the body. Then gently tuck the shoulders away from the ears. We'll stay here in Shavasana for a couple minutes. So encouraging your mind and your body to completely relax. Out of all the yoga poses that we do, this one is often the hardest. We don't take the time in our day, in our week, to fully just let things go, relax the mind, relax the body. So find a few moments of peace and quiet here for yourself. There's nowhere else that you need to be but on your mat. Slowly start to bring a little bit of awareness back to the body by wiggling the fingers and wiggling the toes. Reach the arms up overhead. Extending fingertips and toes to opposite sides of the room. A long body stretch. When you're ready, gently rolling onto either side, resting your head on your bicep. And pausing here for just a moment. When you're ready, beginning to press yourself up to a comfortable seat, sitting up tall, lengthening through the spine. Take another full inhale in and reach those fingertips up, gathering all that awesome energy that you just created. And then draw the hands down to heart center. Thumbs pressing into the chest, bowing the gaze, closing the eyes. Pressing the thumbs into heart center, showing gratitude towards yourself. And then as you leave your mat, your practice, showing gratitude towards others. Thank you so much for sharing your practice, your energy with me today. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Namaste.